call is now being recorded.
Yeah. So welcome to our subject English for academic and professional purposes. So to start the lesson, let us first discuss the general objective of the subject. So here's the general objective of our subject. Sorry. So the general objective of this subject is to equip its students with advanced reading and writing skills that are needed in order to succeed in the academe or in the workplace. So it is basically an overview of what you are going to do once you go to colleges or universities or even pursue your career on a greater level. So then, to start the lesson, let's have the first most essential learning competency that we have for this video. So we have the milk number 1 in the subject. I'm so sorry. So differentiates language used in academic texts from various disciplines. So you often ask to read a narrative or an essay or just anything and get information with it. So most of the time, you are asked to read academically for class discussions, quizzes, and other assessments. Thus, academic reading and writing different structures in different disciplines is a vital component of your academic life. And this will surely help you in facing challenges beyond of those that you will encounter in school. So when you need who among you cook food in their houses? So when you read a recipe or the infographic or even a pamphlet or the label of foods on your item, that the item you are buying, so you are applying the skill that we are going to discuss today. So at the end of this lesson, yan. So you are expected to first distinguish the various academic texts, and then the next expectations from you is craft a well-write academic text. So we are expecting an output after this lesson. So better listen carefully. Our topic is entitled Language of Academic Texts from various disciplines. So you should be able to distinguish the different languages used in different kinds of texts from various disciplines to make you ready for your professional world. So but first, before we dig deeper on different lessons, different lessons on this subject, we start with the basics. So let us first distinguish what an academic and non-academic texts are. So let's focus on the aspect of writing. So if it is not written, then how can we read it, right? Then, yeah. So I'll give you time to write your ideas on your notebook about academic and non-academic writing. So I'll give you 10 seconds. Write as many ideas as you want. All right. So let us now know if what you have written are correct. So basically, academic and non-academic writing, they usually differ in format, purpose, and tone. So we will discuss this further as we go on to our topic. So let us begin the discussion with let us begin the discussion with academic writing. So academic writing, this is a formal mode of writing, and it is intended to educate audience. And then the next is academic writings are generally written in a third person or objective voice. The next, it tends to depend heavily on research, factual experimentation, and evidence, and the opinions of other educated scholars and researchers rather than the opinions of the author. So basically, academic writing is more on facts, and it is written formally. So the words you are using in writing an academic text, you basically use the technical terms or the formal terms, as may I say. Yan. So, example of these academic writings are essays, themes, research studies, and similar structured pieces. Mga kahawig na sulatin ng mga to. Yan. So, in the field of literature, an academic may write an essay based on a theory, but shows how the theory can be proven with evidences from the literature itself. So, if you are to propose a theory, or if you are to propose a theory, then you must have these evidences from this specific literature. Like for example, in having your thesis, so you usually write. There is this part wherein you read a lot of literatures, then you reflect on them. So you will ask what is missing, at the same time, what evidences that you find on those literature that could help you prove a specific theory that you want to suggest in your specific thesis. Then, do you know any other examples of this academic writing? So let's discuss them here. So, before that, I forgot. So, now that we know what academic writing is, so do you have any idea on why these writings are produced, or what is the reason of having this type of writings? So again, here is the purpose of writing academic text. So first, it is usually to inform the reader, providing non-biased facts. Again, it is always based on facts, and backing up claims with evidences. So as what I have said a while ago, so if you are to propose a theory, then you have such evidences in writing that specific paper. So again, I'm asking you, do you know now some examples of academic texts? So here are they. Academic texts or academic writings. Just the same, sorry, I'm using my control. So here are some examples. So first are the books or the textbooks that we have, and the book reports. So book reports, these are reports done with a specific topics. Yeah. Then we have the translations, a text from a specific language translated into a different language. Then essays, mostly essays. This essay, which what we are referring here, are the essays that we somehow read in the newspapers. Um, they are more of the what do you call this? The facts. Yes. Then the next are the research papers and research articles, and then the conference paper, academic journals, then the dissertations and the thesis. So these are papers written to obtain an advanced degree at a college or university. Then the next is the abstract. So it is the short summary of a long document. usually you have that abstract at the first part of the paper itself. And the last example that we have here is the explication. So a work which explains part of a particular work. Then we should also know what are the characteristics of an academic writing. So we have here, yan. Here's the first one. We have the planning. So there is a certain amount of planning before you start writing a paper. So you're not in the point that if you thought of a topic, then you constantly write and write and write. So you should plan what those things, what are the things you are to consider in writing that specific paper. So you should be analytical and organized with those ideas. And then the next is the outline. So are we all familiar with outlines? A proper outline is a must for academic writing. An outline will not only help you formulate your thoughts, but will sometimes make you aware of certain relationships between topics. It will help you determine the pertinent information to be included in your paper. So you plan of what contents you are to write, and then those contents should be organized in a specific outline. And then we have here the tone. So tone is in the tone of writing academic text is of course a formal tone. So you do not use in writing academic text, you do not use slang words, jargons, abbreviation, never use that, and different more like cutting of words and so on. So you are to use more formal languages, more formal tone. Then next is the language. Language in your paper needs to be clear. The words need to be chosen with their precision. So better to be direct to the point, and exact words should be chosen. So you are encouraged to use thesaurus as a tool for you to pick the right words you are going to that will explain your issue. Then the next in writing academic text is the point of view. So the point of view, all as we have mentioned a while ago, it should be on a third person. As a focus of the academic writing is to again educate the facts to your audience and not to support opinion. So we in writing an academic text, we never use I, my, mine, yours, you. So we usually consider using pronouns on a third persona. Then, last characteristic that we should learn from now is the approach in writing. So we use here deductive reasoning. So deductive reasoning is a big part of academic writing, as the research as the readers have to follow the path that brought you to your conclusion. So here is an example of structure. Here is an example structure of academic writing. So here are the structures. So there's an introduction, several questions, quote, some interesting facts, definition of an important term, body, conclusion, and the references. So again, as I have said a while ago, it is just an example of the structure. So the structure may vary. Like for example, if you have here the several questions, it could you can change it into a quote, into a definition of an important item. So are we clear with the structure? Then, so is everything about academic writing again clear with you? Do you have any question? If you have question, you may message me after watching this video. So now let us continue with the non-academic non-academic writing. So non-academic writing may be considered that the writing which is personal, emotional, impressionistic, and subjective in nature. So if academic writing is more on objective type of writing, then non-academic writing are the subjective. So they are somehow biased, right? Then next we have here another definition of non-academic writing. So non-academic writing, it is more of it uh, it is often more informal in tone and may even rely more heavily on emotional appeal or the opinions of author. So again, more on opinion. So if academic writings are more on facts, then non-academic writings suggests opinions, appeals. So they academic writing is not directly intended for an academic or scholarly audience. As I say, non-academic writing are for those who are interested for the specific topic. So not to gain information, just to sometimes be entertained and so on. So you may found non-academic writing in some personal journal entries, like for diaries or whatsoever. Then reader response writings or the comments on a social media post. Then memoirs, any kind of autobiographical writing, anything that you write about yourself or about oneself. And then letters, emails, text messages. So you can consider those as non-academic writing. So if academic writing has its purpose to give value to its readers, to inform its readers, so what do you think is the purpose of writing non-academic writing? So did you say it is to entertain? So that's you're correct. So the purpose of writing non-academic writing is to entertain its audience and to persuade the reader. And another purpose is again to appeal to people who are not experts in the field of question, for the sake of other of the people who are not expert in a specific topic. Okay. So here are some of the examples of of non-academic texts. So as we have mentioned a while ago, personal opinions, the letters to editors, the memos given by a superior to another, the magazines, the fiction and the non-fiction, writing for newspapers, and the digital media. So these are non-academic writings. So now that we are familiar with the differences of academic and non-academic writing, you may pause this video to start your to start answering your module number 1 and then return once you're done. How was your time answering the module? How do you find the questions easy? Or it takes time in answering it? Do you find it hard? Now, as an additional lesson on our topic, let me share you the different types of academic writing. So this is just an additional topic, and it touches our lesson since it is all about the language that we use in writing academic texts. So here are the four. We have four: the descriptive, four main types of academic writing. We have the descriptive, the analytical, the persuasive, and the critical. So each of these types of writing has specific language features and purposes. So we use these four types of writing differently. But sometimes in many academic texts, you will use more than one of these types. So maybe a combination of the two, additional three, or you can use all of them. So like for example, in an empirical thesis, or what we say the thesis that you are going to write once you are in college. So you will be using critical writing in the literature review to show where there is the gap and opportunity of the existing research. So as I have said a while ago, once you are in the part of the related literature, so you are going to read a lot of literature that are related on your specific topic of thesis. And then after reading and reading and reading that, you are going to use the critical writing that we will discuss later. So critical writing where you will show the gap between the existing researches and what's the opportunity for you to have this research. So if there are existing researches about this topic, why are you choosing it? So critical writing will help you to identify or will help you to give to help you produce your ideas on such questions. Then next is the method section. Do you know the methodology part? So in the methodology part, you are mostly to use a descriptive type of writing. So in descriptive type of writing, you will summarize the methods used to collect and analyze information. So on our next modules, you are to learn, you are to you are to learn how to summarize, how what are the techniques in summarizing text. Then in having that, you will now learning to write descriptive type of writing. And then next, the result section, sa bandang dulo na yon, the result section will be mostly descriptive at the same time analytical. Why? So you report the data you have collected. So more on you describe the data and then you analyze what's the data. So there's a combination of the descriptive and the analytical type of writing. Then the last part is the discussion part. Here's where you discuss what your thesis was. And it is more likely to be analytical writing. And as you relate for your findings back to your research question. So you now connect your results to the research question you proposed. Then the persuasive part is where your recommendations and interpretations about your findings lies. So here we have just one output, your thesis, but you used these four types of writing. So let us now dig deeper or let us learn them one by one. So let's have first the descriptive writing. So descriptive writing is the simplest type of academic writing. So basically from the root word of descriptive, we have describe. So what's the purpose of writing descriptive? The purpose of this is to provide facts and information. Then an example of this is a summary of an article or a report of the results of an experiment. So these are the way the way the text is written, it is more on of a descriptive. So here are the kinds of instruction for a purely descriptive assignment. So mostly sa mga subjects ninyo, find this instruction once you find these kinds of instructions, basically your paper will be written in a descriptive type of writing. So what are these? The identify, the report, the record, summarize, and define. So these are more of descriptive writing. It's rare for a university level. So, siguro tayo sa senior high. So, parang gano'n na din yung setup natin. More on pang-college na, university, gano'n. Napaka-rare. So, it is rarely researchers, papers or texts in our level, they are usually not, and they are rare to be purely descriptive. So, paano yun? Rare to be purely descriptive. So, napaka-limit lang ng mga assignments na more on descriptive siya. So, let's learn the three more types of writing. Next is the analytical writing. So, analytical writing is the most used academic writing. It includes, sorry, I'm not seeing my PowerPoint. It includes descriptive writing, but also requires you to reorganize the facts and information you describe into categories, groups, parts, types of relationships. So once you are choosing analytical writing, you are distinguishing different categories on a specific on the data you have collected for your specific writing. So you are to categorize them one by one. Are this idea related to this one? Are this related to this? So you in this part you are now balancing, or like for example, what may I call this? Tinitimbang mo na which among these data are more likely to be read by your specific audience, and which data are not usually not necessary to be included on your writings. So sometimes these categories or relationships are already part of the discipline, while in the other cases, you will create them specifically for your text. So if you are to focus, for example, for ABM, so accounting, different terms for accounting, different terms for business management. So those are the two categories. But in some cases, you have to do the categorizing on your own. So like for example, you can consider this data as the advantages of the specific practice, and then the other data are the disadvantages. So that is how we categorize. So if you are comparing two theories, you might break the comparison into several parts. So you do not just compare them. Like for example, we differentiate academic text from non-academic text. So I did not just define them. I gave some examples, the difference or examples of these two, and then the purpose why we write academic and why we write non-academic. So I hope everything is kumbaga, na-absorb pa ba? Kaya pa. Ayan. So, if you are comparing, so you might break it into several parts. So, That's what my example. So the kinds of instruction for an analytical assignments include analyze, compare, contrast, relate, and examine. Ayan. For persuasive writing, wait. Before we proceed with persuasive writing, I want to just add some notes about analytical writing. So to make your writing more analytical, I have at least four tips. I did not put them on my PowerPoint. So again, to make your writing more analytical, first you must spend plenty of time planning, as we have before. Brainstorm the facts of ideas and try different ways of grouping them according to the patterns, similarities, and differences. You can use color coding, you can use flowcharts, tree diagrams, and tables. So you plan how to restructure your data or your information that you have. And then after planning, spend plenty of time planning. Then next, you create name for relationships. Kailangan may label, di ba? So you create names for relationship, categories you find. So again, as like what I have example a while ago, the advantage and the disadvantages. And then next, or the third one, is to build each section and paragraph around one of the analytical categories. So build each section and paragraph on one analytical category. So focus specific paragraph on a specific group of data. So wag maghalo-halo to avoid confusion on your readers. Then last is to make the structure of your paper clear to your reader by using topic sentences and clear introduction. So basically, once your introduction is eye-catchy, or may I say it attracts the attention of the reader, so your essay is worth reading. So in most academic writing, you are required to go at least one step further in analytical writing. So ano ba yung one step further in analytical writing? That is persuasive writing. So persuasive writing has all the features of analytical writing. So kung ano may mga pinag-usapan natin about analytical writing, there are part of persuasive writing. Ay, sorry. Persuasive writing. So again, it has all the features of analytical writing. The information, like for example, reorganizing the information. So that is the part. But with the addition, sorry. But with the addition of your own point of view. Next is the points of view in the academic writing can include argument, recommendations, and interpretations, and finding or evaluation of work of others. Maybe you're asking, isn't it opinionated? But these opinions are based on facts. So they are not related with the non-academic writing. So the kinds you are to have here is the argue, to evaluate, to discuss, and to take a position. So you are in favor of something because of these facts. So that is what it makes to become a persuasive. You encourage the readers to have the belief you have. You are encouraging them, or you are letting them know why you are believing this. You're not just saying this because you are pushing them on these specific ideas, but you are writing this just to inform them, at the same time to widen to wider their knowledge on that specific argument. So you just have some additional. So to help reach your own point of view on the facts or ideas, so you should be learning what is your point of view. So if you don't have your point, so here are some encouragements or help for you to be able to reach your own point of view. So first, read some other researchers' points of view on the topic. Who do you feel is the most convincing? So again, read some researchers or points of view on the topic. You weigh them and look where you were convinced more. So who is more convincing? Then look for patterns in the data or references. Where is the evidence strongest? So bakit ikaw mismo naniwala ka doon sa idea na yon, dun sa information na yon? What make that as an evidence na kailangan din maniwala ng iba? Next is you should list several different interpretations. What are the real life implications of each one? Which ones are likely to be most useful, beneficial? Which ones have some problems? Discuss the facts and ideas with someone else. Do you agree with their point of view? So here are some help again on building your own point of view. Like for example, in choosing the right vaccine for COVID. So you're not convinced with what you have watched on the televisions. Some of you maybe they have read, they have researched, and some of you ask friends which among these vaccines is the most effective, so on and so on. What's your point of view? Why are you not why don't you why are you against this vaccine? So those are ways to conduct your own point of view. Then you are trying to now put them on writing. So that's persuasive writing. Next is to develop your argument. So if you have now your point of view, you should now develop your own argument. So how will you introduce it to the people, or how will you compose your idea? How will you strengthen your belief? So first, again, list different reasons for your point of view. Why do you have this point of view? Then next, think about the different types of sources and evidence which you can use to support your point of view. So what are your evidences in supporting that? The next, consider different ways that your point of view is similar to and different from the points of view of other researchers. So more research. The next, look for various ways to break your point and view into parts. For example, cost effectiveness, environmental sustainability, scope of the real world application. So again, you now start to categorize things. How are you able to build this specific point of view? Then, after having that argument, you have now your data, you are confident with what you believed in. Now you are to present. So before presenting, you make sure that first your text or what you have written should develop a coherent argument where all the individual's claims work together to support your overall point of view. Baka naman yung point of view mo is ikaw lang yung may ganong point of view. So you should always try to consider the other's point of view. And then, your reasoning for each claim is clear to the reader. So, bakit mo pinaniniwalaan to? Kasi gusto ko. So, hindi yun pwede. So, you have always a reason. Why do you claim this thing? Like for example sa korte, 'di ba? Hindi mo naman pwedeng siya yung nakapatay without any evidences or ano yung pwede niyang reason bakit siya yung naisip mong siya yung nakapatay. So those are some examples that you may consider. Then your assumptions are valid. So we do not only jump into conclusions. So we should have our further research about the specific topic. And then you have evidence for every claim you make. So likewise, the next, you use evidence that is convincing and directly relevant. So you only use evidences that are related to your specific topic. Baka usapan mo COVID, then nag-topic ka ng ice cream. So super layo nun. So you should be having a uh, specific idea. Then, wait. Yeah. So now let's proceed with critical writing. So critical writing is common for research, postgraduate, and advanced undergraduate writing. So ito na yung pang college level. Pero pwede naman nating i-touch. So it also has all the features of a persuasive writing with added feature of at least one other point of view. So yung persuasive writing, it is an analytical writing with your personal point of view. And then critical writing is a persuasive writing. Okay, it's an analytical writing with your own point of view, with an additional another other person's point of view. So may isa ka pang kasali. So that's what we call critical writing with added. So while persuasive writing requires you to have your own point of view on an issue or topic, critical writing requires you to consider at least two points of view, including your own. So that's what I have discussed a while ago. So these are the kinds of instruction for a critical writing. It includes critique, debate, disagree, and evaluate. So for example, you are to explain the researcher's interpretation and argument and then evaluate the merits and the argument. Or give your own alternative interpretation. Yeah. So, I'm so sorry. Examples of critical writing includes a critic, journal article, literature review, literature review as what I have said a while ago. Then the strengths and weaknesses, you identify the strength and weaknesses of your existing research, and then the words critic, debate, disagree, evaluate, as we have flashed a while ago. And then in writing in critical type of writing, you are requiring to have a strong writing skills. So if you are not yet that good, so critical writing is for you for you to aim once you are developed in writing. So next is you need to thoroughly understand the topic and the issue. So you're not basically, kumbaga, parang bato lang ng bato ng idea. So you should always understand what you're saying. And the next, you need to develop an essay structure and paragraph structure that allows you to analyze different interpretation and develop your own argument and supported by evidence. So, kumbaga, sa structuring of your text, you should have the flow of the sentences. And then, so that's all that we have for this week. Yan. For your assessment, sorry. For your assessment, you are to choose 5 essays or articles and rewrite or paste them on a separate sheet of paper, then determine whether they are academic or non-academic. Then explain your answers by including lines as evidences. So since we lack the time, I want you first to determine on a specific your chosen five essays or articles. I want you first to distinguish them as academic or non-academic. You differentiate and you explain them how they are academic, how they become non-academic. Then additional points, if you had to put them as academic text, you may consider explaining what kind of or what type of writing was used in having that academic text. So that's all that we have for this week. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something from this video. And I will have your feedbacks or your questions answered through our GC or through PM. So you may message me on my messenger. Then for further questions about the module, you may also ask me about that. And I hope to have you next on our next videos. So thank you for watching and thank you for listening. Have a great day, students.